people, welcome to Real Life with Abi. My name is Abimbola. Thanks for stopping by. So if you are new to my channel, kindly subscribe. If you've already subscribed, thanks for coming back. It's really good to see you again. Please don't forget to turn on your notification button so you can be notified when I post new videos. So today we are talking about the Ooni of Ife by Enito Ogunwusi's three sisters, and they are Folashade Ogunwusi Fadairo, Adeshola Ogunwusi Olojede, Adebimpe Ogunwusi Dawudu. These three sisters are said to be very close to the king. There are stories that the three sisters have had issues with every one of his ex-wives, and they are known to be his closest fans and his allies. They are seen as a bunch of broom that cannot be easily broken, which is a very good thing. It is very good for siblings to be close and look out for each other, but there has to be a cutoff point, especially when it comes to their marital lives. The sisters are said to depend a lot on the king for their elaborate lifestyles. So the Ooni has been married twice before he met the current Olori prophetess Naomi Shilekuola, who is now his third wife. So let's talk about the Ooni's first wife, Bukola. Rumors have it that there was no love lost between the Ooni's three sisters and Bukola. It was alleged that Bukola was not in support of her husband becoming the king, and allegedly she slapped her husband 3 times during a family meeting in the presence of the king's father, Prince Rokpo Ogunwusi. People who are very close to Bukola have described her as an extremely calm, long-suffering and reasonable lady. So what could have pushed her to slap her husband? No one really knows. I guess we all have different resilience levels. Although it is not acceptable, but I cannot judge her. When Oba Ogunwusi emerged as the new Ooni of Ife, his 3 sisters were alleged to have done everything to keep Bukola away from him. Rumors have it that Bukola was not allowed to see her husband for many days when she arrived in Ife from the UK before the coronation. The Ooni sisters were reported to have tried so hard to hook the Ooni up with a couple of ladies, which did not yield any positive result. Bukola was only allowed to be part of the coronation activities when she approached the Ooni's friends, who pleaded with the Ooni's father, who now intervened on her behalf, with the younger members of the family, especially the ladies. Bukola went back to the United Kingdom after the coronation, and that was the end of marriage number 1 to Bukola. Now let's talk about the Ooni's 3 sisters. So we've got Princess Folashade Ogunwusi Fadairo, who is said to be happily married to Prince Jide Fadairo. She's the oldest of the 3 sisters. Her husband Jide Fadairo is said to come from a ruling family in Owu, Abeokuta in Ogun State. Prince Fadairo manages the Ooni's hospitality businesses, and all of them are alleged to live in the palace when they are in Ife. And then comes Adeshola Ogunwusi Olojede, who was reported to have once been married to a pastor Olojede, but divorced him a few years ago. And then we have Adebimpe Ogunwusi Dawudu. She's the 3rd sister and the youngest of them. Herself and her husband were said to have relocated from Canada to Nigeria when the Ooni was crowned. Her marriage to her husband was reported to have crashed, but her husband is said to remain as a personal aide to the king and lives in the palace in Ife. Allegedly, the ladies have their own businesses and their own money, but it is rumored that they are not as rich as to be able to afford the glamorous lifestyle of regular matching ashoebi and the unique jewelries and other accessories, holidays and so on. Princess Adebimpe Ogunwusi actually had her 40th birthday in the United States of America, and all the other sisters were present. So wife number 2 came along, and that was Olori Wuraola Otiti Obano, who was from Benin. It was alleged that the 3 sisters were the masterminds behind the breakdown of the king's marriage to Olori Wuraola. It has been rumored that the sisters never liked Wuraola, as she was said to have exhibited a bit of pride and thought she was of a higher class into society and more glamorous than the Ooni's sisters. There was also serious competition on who got the king's attention. So the Ogunwusi sisters were said to be living off the king and were not happy with his high society wife, who went everywhere with him. The sisters were reported to have eventually succeeded in painting Oloriwuraola bad before her husband and the other members of the family, especially Prince Aderopo Ogunwusi, that's the Ooni's father. Although Oloriwuraola was reported to have had her own faults and was accused of infidelity, no one really knows if this happened. I would not really expect the wife of the Ooni of Ife, the most powerful king in Yoruba land, to commit adultery, considering the repercussions of death. And if any Nigerian man would be so bold to indulge in such with Oloriwuraola. Anyway, the marriage eventually broke down, and the sisters were alleged to have tried so hard to get the king to marry an Abeokuta-born lady called Bolanle Emmanuela Rokbo, but did not succeed. Bolanle came out later to deny this. The funny thing is that Olori Zainab Wuraola's friends were alleged to have said Zainab thought the Ooni was very rich when she married him, but discovered that the Ooni got married to her because of her connections, so as to be able to acquire some more wealth through her. I do find that ridiculous. We all know that Oba Ogunwusi was a rich man even before he ascended the throne, and we know Obas get rich somehow once they are crowned, even if they were not rich prior. So I think that was a whole lot of nonsense. Then her friends also said that Wuraola was not allowed to take her bed with her, the bed she purchased from Italy with her own money, because she was not very comfortable with the bed at the palace. So when she moved out of the palace, they are claiming she was not allowed to take her bed with her. I'm thinking, was that the most important thing to them at that time? I don't really get that. Zainab was accused of being pregnant for a Lebanese man before she married the king, and that she terminated the pregnancy so as to become the Olori. All these are speculations. No one is really sure what the real story is. Oloriwuraola refuted all the stories of infidelity and hinted at some kind of incompatibility. What baffles me though is that there was a claim that Oloriwuraola was chosen by the oracle. So what shall we say about that? I will leave that to your imagination. So Oloriwuraola came out with the following message after the divorce. And she said, "We have got to stop this culture of shaming and vilifying women with false stories of infidelity and nefarious behavior. The spreading of false information through sources afraid to be identified is a mark of cowards and a cover-up for guilty parties to justify their horrible actions. There is absolutely no truth to the media circulated lies of infidelity and infertility on my end. What I can confirm is that the Ooni and I are no more. I inhale love and I exhale gratitude. My journey continues as a humanitarian aiding women and victims of domestic violence and abuse with the United Nations. No matter how much time you've invested, no matter the use of media to silence and manipulate, no matter the circumstance, slander, embarrassment, threats and lies, get out and seek immediate help. We've seen this movie before, women being dragged in the press and blamed for everything under the sun. This behavior is unacceptable. I urge those involved to be mindful of their actions, for the eyes of our Almighty God are always watching. The seeds of slander is a cancer that harvests to eat away the souls of the planter. The throne is sacred, and the attempts to tarnish the name of a queen in defense or on behalf of a silent king makes all involved look terrible. Remain dignified in all you do. It's not the end of the world, but the start of a new chapter, and you must turn the page with grace. The world is watching. As I bid adieu to this chapter, my wish to you all is to step into your lives boldly and fearlessly, the way God intended, and live not just by words, but through example. The best chapter in our lives is the one we are writing now. Thank you for your love and support. So that was Oloriwuraola's reaction after she left the palace after the divorce. Now wife number 2, Oloriwuraola Zainab, is gone. On 18th October 2018, the Ooni got married to 25-year-old prophetess and evangelist Naomi Shilekunwola, who is the founder of Herald's Ministries. She's the new and current Olori of Ile-Ife. If truly the Ooni sisters have contributed in one way or the other to the breakdown of his 2 previous marriages as alleged, I think they need to sit down and think of the consequences of their brother and the effect on the ladies, and probably take a step back from interfering in the Ooni's marital affairs. I'm literally saying they need to back off. The king himself, I think, needs to tell them to sort themselves themselves out and stay out of his business. A man should be able to draw a line between his sisters, his siblings, and his married. There should be parallel lines that should never really cross. Otherwise, there will always be problems. Our culture sort of allows in-laws to meddle in marriages, but it's up to the man to know how far this should go. That's what I think. Olori Naomi is young. We do know that she's young, but she appears to be matured. And it is alleged that her mom is quite a formidable force. So Olori Naomi hopefully will know how to manage her home. Especially when it comes to the three sister-in-laws who appear to be like the three musketeers according to rumors. We all know that there's always an element of truth in rumors, although people would have added their bits to make things sound really bad. But there has to be some kind of truth in it anyway. So we wish Olori Naomi all the best, and we hope her marriage to the Ooni is still dead to day path. So what are your thoughts? Let's have a conversation in the comment section. Please like, share and subscribe, and I shall see you in the next video. Thanks for watching. Bye.